John is caught up in the Spirit. He's standing at the doorway to heaven, peering in on the heavenly court. Having just been given 7 letters to 7 very different churches, he now is let in on the context from which those letters arise, the divine majesty. And we are there with him. Through the gift of his story, we are caught up in the air and gently placed outside the door, peering inside at a vision that is larger than our minds can comprehend, a vision that can only be described by over and over again using the word like. It's like this, it's like that. I wonder, what will we feel as we look in on this vision, as we peer into the throne room? Perhaps we might not be too terribly comfortable, because I fear that we have placed our trust elsewhere. We have burned incense at other altars. I fear that we have stopped at the altar of the nation state. That was a problem for John's audience. In that late first century world, Rome demanded your acceptance and assimilation. You could have your gods, but you had better also be willing to burn a little incense before Caesar first. In fact, one of the Roman empires, Domitian, who it's possible that this letter was written during his reign, even used to urge the people to refer to him as Dominus et Deus Noster, our Lord and God, the same ascription given to the living God in one of the hymns in our text. And though we might pretend that we are free from such foolishness, if you look carefully, I believe you'll see that we are not. At civic functions, we reverence the flag when it goes by almost like a cross in procession. We put all our money on the government to solve our problems, trusting that salvation for all people comes from Washington. Engagement is good. Taking a stand and demanding justice and the social order is certainly integral to the Christian life. But when one's passions run so hot for one particular political theory, you have to wonder where a person's trust truly lies. But surely worship of the nation state, that'd be too obvious for us. After all, we are trained seminarians, clergy, and professors. We would never trust in the state or in Caesar, or in Democrats, or in Republicans for our salvation. You don't see an American flag flying in this chapel. But there is that which throughout Revelation undergirds the power of the empire. That is the diabolical powers. That is where the temptation is strong, where the pull is powerful. The powers of nationalism we've acknowledged, but there are also powers of classism, powers of intellectualism, racism, heterosexism, all the isms that function in demonic ways to dehumanize the people of God, to convince us of our own security, of our own temporal rightness when it comes to others, to those we would like to exclude. Who would you like to exclude? Who would I like to exclude? At heart here, at the theological center of the book of Revelation, we're talking about power. And for those training in and engaging in ministry in the Lord's church, the slow, subtle desire for power is what gives the powers a foothold in the church. And in Revelation, as we peer through the door with John into the heavenly assembly, we see power. We see 4 living beings symbolizing all of the power of creation, continually singing to the one seated on the throne. We see 24 elders with the rewards of white robes and crowns. These are the rewards that John had promised to the churches in the first 3 chapters. To those that overcome, they would be given these white robes and crowns. We see those elders falling down, casting their crowns, that for which they had fought and overcome, casting their power at the feet of the one on the throne. We see all of creation and all of the people of God declaring that God alone is worthy to receive glory, honor, and power. Do you know why I think we give in to the pull of power? Why we trust in the state and in the isms of the world? Why we cling to the crowns and secular assurances instead of laying all our desires for power, for comfort, and security at the foot of the throne? I think it's because we share the fear of all ancient peoples: chaos. We're afraid of chaos. We're afraid that chaos, bubbling out of the sea, the same sea from whence the beast will come, and later in Revelation 13, we're afraid that that chaos is going to win. We're afraid that our lives are subject to the destructive forces that exist outside of our control. We're afraid of chaos. But as we look through the door, we see the sea, the symbol of chaos, that though present in the heavenly council, even the sea is still and silent before the throne. And at the end of the book, the sea simply disappears. That wonderful little phrase that John puts in there, in the new heaven, and there is no longer any sea. So we hear John whisper to us from outside the door where we stand: peace